अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, the new center of wealthy, urban, liberal wokeness. Ashoka University has turned into the new JNU, ladies and gentlemen, and the conventional logic says that what this professor said was both misogynistic and very strongly against the Indian Army. At 8:30 tonight, why Rahul Gandhi is so popular, absolutely so unstoppably popular in Pakistan. I think he should fight an election there. And at 9 o'clock tonight, when there are so many negative influences, when there are so many anti-national influencers, I demand that the financials of the YouTubers, their sources of funding, and yes, let me repeat, who their subscribers are, and who's giving them any naya paisa should be investigated. Why it's time to regulate the YouTubers. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ashoka University sources tell me that 90 to 95% of the students at Ashoka University, in their words, are regular people who are for the country. But there are 5% who are giving them great trouble. Well, in that case, I would like to ask the founders and the owners of Ashoka University, what can they do about the 5%? If Ashoka University has created a group of people who are tukre, pro-Maoist, urban Naxals in their origin, then would it be wrong of me to say that Ashoka University has become the new JNU? Actually worse, because it is a very wealthy tukre group that has grown within the Ashoka University campus. I'm not saying that the arrest of Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, whether he should have been arrested, whether he should be put in jail. Of course, the matter will go to the Supreme Court. I'm 100% sure the guy is going to get bail, but that's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue should be, and we are no one to advise the highest courts of the country, what this man has done. He has abused and attacked, ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Qureshi. And I don't know why he has done that. What his anger is against Colonel Sophia Qureshi. Why he abused Colonel Sophia Qureshi, dismissing her presence in the press conferences of the Indian Armed Forces as optics. This shows a dirty, misogynistic mind. This shows that this Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad could not tolerate the presence of a Muslim lady leading the armed forces press conferences. This shows his mind. He's anti-Indian Army, and he said that this was optics. So what Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad did essentially was try to divide the Indian Army on communal lines, on religious lines. So if they try to, I'm sure he's going to get bail, but if they try to project his getting bail as a victory, please be warned, ladies and gentlemen, it's not. What this professor has done is unpardonable. At a time when the nation is fighting a war with Pakistan, he is dividing the Indian Army on religious lines. Does it matter what religion Colonel Sophia Qureshi is from? No, she's from the Indian Army. The professor is illiterate, foolish, ill-advised, and malevolent to say anything to the contrary. Does it matter what religion, caste or creed Wing Commander Vyomika represents, or which part of the country she comes from, what language she speaks at home? No. She's an Indian and she's an Air Force officer. We should be proud of her. But these are the people, these are the intellectual termites. Intellectual termites, ladies and gentlemen, like Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, who try to divide the Indian Armed Forces on religious lines. And then this very wealthy Tukre gang in Ashoka University tries to make it a big deal. Would they admit the man has also been a politician? That he joined the Samajwadi Party and therefore is spreading a patently political line, masquerading as a professor? Can he deny these pictures? And just imagine that if a professor like this spreads such hate at times of conflict, what influence he would have on students. And I want to ask the management and the ownership of Ashoka University, what is their responsibility to the nation? What is the responsibility of the people who started Ashoka University to the nation? Can they wash their hands off? Can they say it doesn't matter that a person in Ashoka University is dividing the army on religious lines? It doesn't matter that he's anti-women, that he's misogynistic, that he's breaking the country apart at a time of conflict, and that he's saying that we should be concerned about lynchings of Muslims rather than putting Colonel Sophia Qureshi in a press conference. That is a Pakistani line, ladies and gentlemen. That's a patently Pakistani line. And I think it's so sad that you call the press conference an illusion. This politician masquerading as a professor should consider what he has done. I'm sure he'll get bail, but it's not about bail, it's about what he's done. To say that the presence of a Muslim senior army officer in a press conference is just optics shows the depravity of his mind. I would like to know how many times he has spoken against triple talaq and nikah halala. I would like to know whether he was part of the Shaheen Bagh brigade. And I would know whether this intellectual obfuscation of the real issues that I'm raising tonight can take away from the core fact that in a leading, wealthy, private university in the National Capital Region, the ownership of the university does not till this moment take responsibility for the fact that one of its professors is speaking against the Indian Army at a time of conflict. Can they wash their hands off? I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a question. Can the Ashoka University founders wash their hands off and call this freedom of expression? Would any of them talk the same language as their own professor? And imagine the impact on the minds of people in this new JNU type campus, Ashoka University. Just that, obviously, the students who go there are rich enough to go to that campus. So they're also very, very entitled centers of wokeness. And Ashoka University founders, let me tell you this. If you think the people of this country are not watching, I request you not just to give a tepid line, we'll cooperate with the law enforcement agencies. What is your responsibility? What is your responsibility, Ashoka University? What is your responsibility? If you feel that there is no responsibility that you have in situations such as this, then say so. You have a right to say so. We have our right to report. And then we have our right. We have our right, Ashoka University, to debate.
Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, a professor at Ashoka University, was arrested yesterday for his controversial social media post on Operation Sindoor. The Delhi police arrested the professor at Ashoka University after a complaint was filed against him by the BJYM and the Haryana State Women's Commission. Amongst his views in his now deleted social media post, the controversial professor described the media briefings by Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Vomika Singh as optics. He further added that optics must translate to reality on the ground, otherwise it's just hypocrisy. The Haryana Women's Commission has accused the controversial professor of disparagement of women in uniform.
हमने 12 तारीख को उनको नोटिस किया उनके इस विषय पर और उम्मीद की कि 14 तारीख को एक सभ्य पढ़े लिखे व्यक्ति जो कि वो कहते हैं मैं एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर हूँ उस नाते वो आएंगे और महिला आयोग में अपनी बात को रखेंगे, परंतु वो नहीं आए। हमने तुरंत अगले दिन 15 तारीख को यूनिवर्सिटी विजिट की और इन्फॉर्म किया वाइस चांसलर को, रजिस्ट्रार को कि हम आ रहे हैं और उम्मीद है कि हम आपके एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर सो कॉल्ड अली खान को वहां बातचीत कर लेंगे। आई वुड हैव लाइक्ड इफ अगर वो अपॉलॉजी कर लेते, लेकिन उनकी मंशा ही नहीं थी।
Soon after getting the summons from the Women's Commission, the professor said that his post was misunderstood and that the State Women's Commission had no jurisdiction over the matter. Today in Supreme Court, senior advocate Kapil Sibal urged the CJI B.R. Gavai for an urgent listing of the matter. He said that the statements made by the professor were completely for the nation. The CJI has agreed to list the matter for tomorrow or the day after. Meanwhile, the left has come out in support of the professor, with CPI's D. Raja claiming that the professor was just upholding the values of democracy and secularism. But the controversy has once again drawn questions on freedom of speech. In his criticism, did Ali Khan cross the line?
This is another Ashoka University controversy. Mind it, Ashoka University is constantly becoming the center of this new Tukre gang. And I find it more amusing because it's a wealthy Tukre gang, children of privilege and teachers of privilege out there who are turning this. I spoke to some people who are among the founders of Ashoka University, not naming them. They said, see, we are not with them. 90% of the people are sane. They are not like this, but 5% is very vocal. But I find it strange, Ishkaran, they don't take any responsibility for the 5%. They'll allow it to do whatever the hell it wants to do on the campus. Welcome, Sanjeev. Welcome, Kishore. Welcome, Karan. Yes, Ishkaran.
Arnab, it is not about the students. It is about who is being allowed to be a professor and what is he teaching to these students. Of course, let me say, what I have seen, it is not a case of arrest. My views are always that unless direct violence is being inciting, it's not a case of arrest. But the larger issues that you raised, and I'm pretty sure he would get bail, though of course it's the discretion of the court. But the larger issue is, who is being allowed to teach and teach what? You're a failed politician, you're a political activist. At the time when India is fighting a war, you call it optics. Was it the decision of the government to choose who will be the spokesperson for the military? Of course not. It's a decision of the military. They decide who will speak. So whose optics are you questioning now? That's the larger question. Are you questioning the optics that military is doing optics? Why are you calling hypocrisy and lynching any domestic issue with what the military is doing? That is the language of China. That is the language of Pakistan, where domestic disputes you link with military, where you say Kashmir, military is doing violence. That entire narrative which went on for decades in JNU, in other universities where they used to have these events. And this Ashoka University with its fees, I was reading 40 lakh, 50 lakh, it's massive pieces. These are people who were going to be a part of the leadership of Bharat. That's the reality. Who is teaching them? That is the university's call, and that is the bigger question which is to be had. Of course, if you arrest and he gets bail, that will become a new ground for them.
No, it's not. It won't become. It won't become. I'll tell you why. No. It won't become. It won't become. It won't become. But I'm not for the arrest out here. He'll get bail. That's not the issue. The issue is what he's done. And I'm quite surprised and shocked. These universities say we do a lot of due diligence of our politicians, of our professors. You get a Samajwadi Party politician, you put him in your political science department, you'll go around and say tomorrow, doesn't matter. I'll get a politician from All India Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin. I'll get a Congress politician. I'll make him a professor. But the interesting thing is, Kishore, and I'll widen this up, Kishore, what he has said is that the presence of a Muslim senior army officer is optics. A Muslim woman army officer, he says, Sophia Qureshi is optics, which shows his hatred for Muslim women. And also his misogynistic attitude that a woman is there only for optics. That's his view. It shows his dirty misogynistic view. He's targeting her. He's abusing an Indian army woman officer in a time of conflict for presenting the case for Bharat. So therefore, he's also dividing the country and the army on communal lines. He's deliberately trying to incite disaffection inside the army. And he's also trying to divide the army on communal lines, and he's trying to polarize and provoke the Muslim community at a time of war. This is treasonous stuff.
Yeah.
It's treason. You can justify it as freedom of expression. It's not.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, Arnab, and good evening to my panelists. Almost on all topics that we debate, Arnab, I agree with you. And I will partially agree with you here on the premise that does the post qualify as anti-national? Yes, it does. But does it qualitatively qualify for an arrest?
No, the question of arrest is something which I'm not bothering on, because let me make it clear to you. You see, one minute, Kishore. See, nobody is talking about arrest. The arrest is an attempt. Now, if this guy gets bail, it'll be an attempt to make it a freedom of speech issue. It's not a freedom of speech issue. The issue is not about the arrest. The question is what this guy was trying to do. He was trying to intellectually mob lynch Colonel Sophia Qureshi to say that you as a Muslim woman are standing for the Indian army. You are an object. You are an ornament. You are a symbol. You are being used. And I, as a Muslim man, will try and abuse you in a time of war so that the Muslim community in this country does not unite behind the Indian army. That is what this man was trying to do. Now, you can argue and say, oh, he shouldn't be arrested for doing so. Okay. But you justify what he said?
Yeah.
You justify what he was trying to do? You want the country's army divided on communal lines in a time of war? You want to say that is all right?
No. Okay, Arnab, let me answer you. See, all these Ashoka universities and Aurangzeb universities are cousin brothers of JNU, and I fully admit to that. So let me also tell you that my son studied in a Christian college, and it was a situation where for wearing a tilak, he was questioned that you shouldn't wear, believe.
No, one minute. It's not that. I'll make it simpler for you, Kishore.
Can I make a point?
I'll make it simpler. I'll get Sanjeev also. You see.
Can I make a point?
One minute. Colonel Sophia Qureshi has made history in the past. She is not there as optics. When you describe her as optics, you show the bile in your heart that how is the Indian army putting up a Muslim woman officer there? You are targeting her for her religion, for her gender. No, there is a well thought. What is the meaning of saying she's optics?
That is.
No, I'm asking, what is the meaning of saying she's optics? You are basically saying Muslims are living terribly in India. How is a Muslim officer in a army press conference? That's stupid, illiterate logic. You know that, Kishore.
That is anti-BJP.
Yeah, so that is anti-national. That is anti-army. So why is he being made a hero?
Yeah. Okay. So he shouldn't be made a hero.
Yeah. So fine. Let me get Sanjeev's take on it. Sanjeev.
He should not be made a hero. That is anti-BJP.
This is amplifying a Pakistani narrative. That's a Pakistani narrative.
Arnab, can I make a small point, please?
1 minute, after Sanjeev, and then you come in. Yeah. Sanjeev.
But he still doesn't deserve an...
So, since I'm nearly 3 to 1 here, taking the other side, I hope I'll just get 2-3 minutes uninterrupted. First, I read Professor Ali Khan's post in full. The entire first para of his post, which is, I think, nearly a third of his post, supports the Indian Army's and Indian government's decision to continue with Operation Sindoor and to collapse, in his words, the distinction between military and terrorists or state support. And he said, so India has changed the goalpost. And towards the end of his post, Professor Ali Khan says that thankfully the idea of India remains intact. Now, if we pull out of context what he was trying to say, that if other issues are not taken care of, then this will be just optics. So he's not calling Colonel Sophia Qureshi optics. You know, your English is much better than mine, Arnab, and you understand things much sharply than me. If you read that post, he's not calling Colonel Sophia Qureshi as optics. He's making a larger point. And I think this is a completely nationalist post. And this much of freedom of speech also, if we are not allowing, then what is the point of our Prime Minister coming on post-Operation Sindoor and really congratulating the country for staying as one, despite Pahalgam's provocation of fomenting communal tension and riots in India?
Can I make a point?
I wish to respond to you, Sanjeev.
I'll just make the last point.
I wish to respond to you, Sanjeev.
Sorry, last point, then you respond. Just 1 second, last point, then you respond. And if we are so much concerned about the anti-national nature of Professor Ali Khan's post and the danger it poses to national security and the insult to Colonel Sophia Qureshi, why is the Minister Vijay Sharma still walking free? Why isn't he sacked? Why isn't he arrested? He has said much worse thing than this optics bit which you are so outraged about.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you, I'm not. One minute. Karan, before you come in, because it should not be lost, let me tell you what he has said in his post. You have looked at the first paragraph, you've not looked at the second, you've not looked at the third, and you've not looked at the fourth. In the second paragraph,
I've looked at
one minute, let me invite your attention. You see, very interestingly, and this is how they play on the minds of students as well. You give this line, political conflicts, we have to realize that political conflicts have never been solved militarily. I'm not saying that an associate professor in a private university's post should be seen to be big deal. But now that this issue has come up, we have to look at this line. He has said that Kashmir is therefore a political problem. I'm not saying he's saying so because he's married into a political family, but I cannot discount the fact that he's a Samajwadi Party politician. By saying in a time of war that Kashmir issue is a political conflict, cannot be solved militarily, he's taking an anti-army line. It is being dealt with militarily. You have to be against the country to say what the army is doing is wrong. So you have qualified your first paragraph with that comment. Anyway, now let's come to the third paragraph. In the third paragraph, he's taken a completely Samajwadi Party line.
Half of our former top generals and army chiefs has said
No, my point is not that. My point is not that. You don't try to justify it by saying that if an army man has made the same mistake, a professor cannot make the same mistake. You argue with me, Sanjeev, on what he has said. Now, let me come to the second point. He has linked, he's not mentioned here Wing Commander Vyomika. He has mentioned particularly Colonel Sophia Qureshi because she's a Muslim woman. And he has used that as a centerpiece of an argument to say that mob lynchings, arbitrary bulldozing, Uttar Pradesh situation, etc., etc. Now, that is a patently political line in a time of war. You are doing it to demoralize the army, saying that Muslims may be fighting and representing the army, Muslims may be in an air defense unit, Muslims may be in an infantry unit, but remember Muslims, you're being treated badly in India. That is a very patently anti-India line. It's an anti-national line you should never support.
No.
You should never support that, Sanjeev.
He has said something entirely different, Arnab. He has said something entirely different.
Can I make a point,
He has said
please?
that unless we give respect to fellow Muslims, these things will
Sanjeev,
remain optics.
Please hear me out now. Now, please hear me out what he said.
No.
You're trying to misquote and present in a
And
No,
different...
that's a Pakistani line, that Muslims don't get respect in India. Are you saying Muslims don't get respect in India? Are you saying there is a time to make your political arguments? You may be an understudy to Akhilesh Yadav. You may want to push your political career. No. That's a Samajwadi Party line. Even Akhilesh did not speak like that during the war that he did.
But if Professor deserves so much of time and outrage...
It's not about time. It is not about... Now, don't avoid the subject. I am saying here tonight... No, 1 minute. It's not Professor. I am saying Ashoka University must make its line clear. Does it allow this? Does it support it? Or does it oppose it? Being equidistant is not a solution.
Why is he still in job? Why are we talking about Professor Ali?
That is for Ashoka University to tell us.
Did you...
Because
did you see one part of the post?
No, you are...
Interesting.
He's on point. 1 minute. Let me get Karan in. He's on point. He's saying, why is he still in a job? Okay. I am not here to be like he is. This man is like an intellectual lynch mob.
I'm talking about Minister Vijay Sharma.
I am totally against that man also, and I've said so very much. But I am saying, Sanjeev...
Can I make a point?
Sanjeev, you cannot undermine national unity and security in a time of war. You cannot create a moral equivalence between military actions and anything else. You cannot exploit a tragedy to push a political narrative.
I do not agree.
You cannot amplify the Pakistani narrative in India in times of war.
I don't think this post is anti-national.
Can I make a point?
No.
Sanjeev,
One minute. That depends on your description of anti-national. You can even say Bharat tere tukde honge, inshallah is not anti-national.
True.
You can say that. You can say supporting Yaqub Memon and Afzal Guru is not anti-national. You can rationalize anything, but it's a time of war.
Now you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that's how people stretch it.
I'm just saying this. I'm saying this, Arnab, my friend. This post is not anti-national, according to me.
No.
It's
You
my
are now.
limited
No.
point.
Sanjeev,
And what about the much bigger
Sanjeev, my friend, you are taking cover over the overall. Sanjeev, because my questions are getting very pointed, you are taking cover under the overall argument that it's not anti-national. Okay, that depends on your definition of anti-national and mine. My question is, can you divide the army at times of war on the basis of religion? Did the post do that?
Vijay Sharma.
Did the post divide? I'm talking about did the post try to divide the Indian army on times of war on the basis of religion? Yes or no?
Holding the post of
Did it try to divide the Indian army? Did it try to tell Colonel Sofia Qureshi? It tried to tell Colonel Sofia Qureshi, listen, you're being used. You're being used by the Indian army. Therefore, it was a direct attack on the Indian army. I hope that the highest court of the country, while giving him bail, will also give those qualifying observations, though I'm nobody to advise the highest court of the country, but I'll be keenly watching. Karan.
So, Arnab, first of all, let's understand this man is a repeat offender. This man has been the spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, come on several shows, defended people like S.T. Hassan and Shafiqur Rahman Burke, who've gone on to say that women, if they don't wear a burqa, they are playing with their honor. Women, if they are not married of young, they will go astray. This man has written an article between burqa and bikini. And in that article, he's objectified women, and it's not the first time he's done it. He has a long history of doing this. And when our friend says, I'm reading out what he said.
Do the Ashoka University owners and founders know that? Do the Ashoka University owners and founders know that? Or does that not matter to them too?
It did not matter to them because it's in the public.
The Ashoka University owners will say, no, we just have a tiny little woke brigade happening on our campus.
Absolutely. This man has worn this as a badge of honor. He has time and again written articles, glorified the burqa, stood up against the movement in Iran, said, burqa is empowering. Time and again he's echoed those statements. And when he in this article, what does he say? Optics of two women soldiers is important. This is not optics, my dear friend. This is our reality. This is Bharat. They are not there because just they are women or somebody is a Hindu or a Muslim. They are our army officers, for crying out loud. This is a divisive statement, a dog whistle that this man made there. Then he says political conflicts are never solved militarily. Who benefits from war? Politicians and defense companies. Have we called this on ourselves? Pakistan is a terrorist nation. That is the aggressor here. We are replying to them and we must. So don't give us this bhashan of who benefits from war or who doesn't benefit from war. Then what does he say? The grassroots reality is that common Muslims suffer. Their face is much different. What are you trying to show here? Arnab, what is he trying to show?
Ask Sanjeev. No, he's defending it.
Muslims, and is it the forum to say this? When the nation is united,
ask Sanjeev,
is it
I'm
the
with you.
forum,
Ask him.
He's defending all this?
He's defending all this. This is all freedom of expression. Everybody should say what
I've realized
Absolutely
is
shameful.
that everybody other than me is defending Minister Vijay Sharma. Minister Vijay Sharma.
No, nobody has. You're putting words in anywhere. Nobody has. We are ashamed and embarrassed about it. No. We've spoken about it before. No. We've spoken about it before. We've done programs on it before. We've condemned him before. So you are using that. You are using that. No. You are. I have condemned him on air. I'm saying, how can you, Sanjeev, defend what this professor have done?
That's fine. Because I don't find his post anti-national.
Yeah, of course. For you, therefore, what you're saying is Sofia Qureshi is being used because she's a Muslim woman. She's being used by the India and the Indian Armed Forces to push optics.
I don't know. That is your interpretation.
Both agree and disagree
that
with
is your interpretation of the post.
There's no interpretation. That is what all there is.
No.
That is the centerpiece of the post.
That's not mine. No.
Anyway, I don't think I have read associate professor.
I have read the same sentence and I don't deduct it like that.
It's sad what he's done.
Fair enough.
Very sad. Very sad.
Arnab, also one very interesting line used is to an India that defied the logic on which Pakistan was built. Now, coming from a family which allegedly funded the entire campaign of forming Pakistan, today you find that the entire logic of Pakistan was failed. That said, arrest has probably made a failed politician into a politician.
Yeah,
who
the
from
arrest
right
was
field of the
unnecessary.
Pradesh.
But the
Maybe.
fact is that
That is why you
Ashok,
should
the
not
question
arrest
really is about universities like Ashoka University. What do the founders and owners of Ashoka University owe as an explanation to the people of this country? Or do they believe that because they are rich and they are entitled, they don't owe an explanation to the people of India either? Can they say the people of India can go to hell? Ashoka University will continue to be like this. If that is the case, that is their thinking. Let the people of this country determine which way they need to think and respond as well.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDA चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDA चटनी पुदीना मसाला।